Hey, and welcome back again. Since we just had the last card of the year, I want to predict and talk about who I think will be the champion in each division by the end of 2025. So let's start off with Flyweight, where I have Pantoja. I just think he is way too good right now, and looks pretty unbeatable in his division. I can see him fighting 2 times in 2025, probably against Kai Kara-France, who I think he will beat, and his second fight could be against maybe a Royval or Manel Kape, who I also think he beats comfortably. Don't get me wrong, it will still be competitive and good, but he is not losing. The only way I could see him not being the champion in 2025 is if Dana brings back Mokaev after Pantoja beats Kai Kara-France, but that's pretty unlikely. Therefore, my champion for the Flyweight division will be Pantoja pretty comfortably. Now moving on to Bantamweight, I have Umar as the champion. Obviously Merab is the champ currently, but he will be fighting Umar in 1 month, and that will be the last time we will see Merab as a champion. I just think Umar will be able to out-wrestle and out-grapple Merab, and also is much better on the feet. It will still be competitive, but Umar will win by a confident decision, and will remain the champ until he retires, in my opinion. I don't see Jan, Sean, or anybody else beating him anytime soon, and therefore, he will be my champ for 2025. He will probably fight one more, after he beats Merab in 2025, and that opponent will most likely be Sean, and I can see Umar finishing Sean by a submission. Umar is actually one of the few active undefeated fighters who has the biggest and best chance to retire undefeated. I would probably say he is the second best undefeated fighter right now in the UFC, right behind Khamzat. Only way I can see Umar losing is if he gets caught and knocked out. The only guy that has the ability to do that is Sean, but Umar is good enough on the feet to be able to outstrike Sean on the feet and then just take him down. So yeah, my Bantamweight champion for 2025 will be Umar. My next champ for the Featherweight division will be Movsar Evloev. Hear me out. I know Ilya is super good and have GOAT potential, but that I really believe Movsar is the only guy who can beat him in his division. Lopez would be easy work for Ilya. I don't understand how some people think Lopez would cause problems for Ilya, or why he is next in line for the title. Movsar is clearly next up, and if you think otherwise, you are just delusional, or just don't like him. Movsar has now beaten Lopez, Allen, and Sterling back-to-back, which should be enough to fight for the title. He is also undefeated. You could make him fight Lopez if the UFC decides to give Volk the rematch, which will probably happen in April in Spain. I would be okay with that. And Movsar has also recently said that he would like to fight in February against anyone, and that would be the perfect opportunity to make the Lopez rematch. But let's be real. The fight will end exactly in the same way. Lopez will be taken down and controlled to a decision. Movsar will probably outstrike him as well. I'm also aware of Ilya wanting to move up, which also could happen since he wants to fight Charles, so everything is about timing. Because Movsar not even get a chance to fight for the title in 2025 if Ilya decides to move up and hold up the division by not vacating the belt. But if he vacates the belt, then Movsar have a bigger chance to become champion by the end of the year. My prediction would be, Movsar will fight Lopez and beat him, and then fight Ilya for the title and win it. My reasoning for why I believe Movsar can beat Ilya is because he have better wrestling, grappling, and is stronger. Ilya wouldn't be able to keep Sterling off him, or even wrestle with him. Movsar did that and beat him. Movsar also has a good chin, cardio, and mixes it up well. He won't stand and bang with Ilya for a full round, which will reduce his chance to being knocked out. Movsar will take Ilya down and control him, which will lead him to a decision win. But if Movsar don't fight for the title in 2025, then obviously Ilya will remain the champion comfortably. Moving on to the lightweight division, who my pick will be obvious. It's still Islam Makhachev. I've already said this multiple times. But Islam ain't losing until he retires. He will beat Arman comfortably, and then probably beat either Charles in a rematch or beats Ilya depending on how the UFC want things to go. We already know how badly Islam wants to move up to welterweight to secure that title, and if he's able to move up, then he will most likely become a double champ. And I believe he will move up, but don't know if he will this year. I believe he will fight for that second belt in 2026. He could very likely move up after he beats Arman as well, since no one can beat him in lightweight. But if he stays, then Charles is most likely next up, and Islam will finish him again. So, my lightweight champion for 2025 is still Islam Makhachev. For my welterweight champion, I have gone with Shavkat instead of Bilal. I know Shavkat may have not had the best performance against Ian Gary, but styles do make fights, and I believe Ian Gary was the hardest fight for him in the division. He will struggle with Bilal's wrestling that much, since Shavkat will push the pace, and he is obviously better on the feet, and also always have that finishing potential, where he can finish Bilal on the feet, or even get a submission. As I mentioned, I know he didn't have the best performance against Gary, but I really believe that was just a safer approach from Shavkat, since Gary's style is hard for him to match, and also, he was injured. I can see Shavkat finishing Bilal, and that's most likely his only way to victory if he doesn't cancel out his wrestling. Bilal's only way to victory is if he puts up a performance like he had against Leon Edwards, but I don't believe Bilal will be able to ragdoll Shavkat like he did with Leon. We still haven't seen the best of Shavkat, I believe, and he will show that against Bilal, and the hype train will be back. But there is still a very high chance that Bilal goes out there and just wins by decision due to takedowns and control time. Middleweight is easy to predict, and I have gone with Khamzat Chimaev. I believe Dricus will beat Strickland a lot easier this time, and will fight again during sometime in the summer against Khamzat, where he will lose his belt. Even if Strickland wins, he will still be beaten by Khamzat. I really believe Khamzat will retire undefeated, and would smoke both Dricus and Strickland easily. But I don't think it will be a first-round finish for Khamzat against Dricus, but that could still very likely happen. My prediction would be Khamzat by second-round submission. Either way, it don't matter. Khamzat could go up to light heavyweight right now, and beat Pereira much easier than Dricus, but that won't unfortunately happen since Ankalaev is next up, and he is actually my champion for 2025 as well in the light heavyweight division. He will most likely finish Pereira by ground and pound, or even just win by a decision considering him taking Pereira down, and getting control time. Since Pereira's grappling and wrestling is not good, but Pereira could also stay the champion, but that's only if he knocks out Ankalaev in the early rounds, which for me is not that likely. Ankalaev is his hardest test, and there is a reason for why he don't want to fight him. I know a lot of people want Pereira to win, but his time is coming near the end, and he will probably move up to heavyweight after he loses his belt, and I think he can actually beat a lot of the current heavyweights in the rankings. I could see the UFC making him fight Aspinall, once Aspinall either beats Jones or when Jones retires. That would be a massive fight, but I would obviously have Aspinall winning that fight. Now for my last champion of 2025 is Tom Aspinall. Probably the easiest champion to predict, because he will become champion either by beating Jones, or if Jones decides to retire, then the belt will automatically be handed to Aspinall. But I would really want to see them fight. Instead, I would give Tom a 60% chance to beat Jones, and I could see him fight someone like Pereira at the end of the year and win that also. So my heavyweight champion will be Tom Aspinall. Let me know who your champions will be for 2025, and comment what you think. See you in the next one.